Proverbs chapter number 22. Proverbs chapter number 22. You find it, say amen.
Amen.
Proverbs 22, verse number 1, the Bible says that a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. I'm going to read it one more time. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we love you. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity we have to be in church tonight. Lord, I pray, God, that you'd help us now as we open your word and study for a little while. I pray, God, that you'd make this scripture, Lord, I pray, God, that you'd let it just find a resting place in our hearts. And Lord, I pray, God, that you'd forgive me, Lord, of my faults and my failures, my sins, Lord, the areas of my life where I fail you and let you down. I pray, God, that you'd cleanse me out tonight of myself. Lord, I pray, God, that you'd fill me up. God, that your people could be helped. Lord, we pray, God, for those that aren't here tonight, God, that you, for whatever reason it may be, God, that you'd touch them. And Lord, show them their need, Lord, for church. And God, you told us the assembling of ourselves together. And Lord, I pray, God, that we would, as Christians, would find that to be important in our lives, Lord, to come to church and gather together. Lord, we love you tonight. I thank you and I praise you. I pray, God, for that one in here tonight that may be lost. God, that's never, ever been saved before. Lord, I pray, God, that you'd convict them even now. Lord, as they sit in their pew, God, show them their need of a Savior. Lord, we love you. Thank you and we praise you for all that you've done, all that you're going to do, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
The Bible tells us in Proverbs 22 that a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. How many of you would agree with me tonight?
Amen. Yes, sir.
That a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. How many of you tonight in your mind, man, as we read this verse, you can think of someone who has a good name, whether it be someone in your family, someone here at the church, someone that you've looked up to, someone that you've longed or desired to be somewhat like, maybe someone that has just been an example to you in your life, someone that has a good name. But on the other hand, you can also probably think of someone who doesn't have such a good name. And a lot of times that person that doesn't have a good name, sometimes they're supposed to have a good name, whether it be a politician or a preacher or somebody that's supposed to have and supposed to carry the title of a good name, and their name is supposed to mean something in their community. Their name is supposed to mean something in their family. Their name is supposed to mean something in their position. But a lot of times, man, it doesn't take much, does it, for someone to ruin their name by their actions, the actions that they take. Whether it be actions in their response to a situation, their actions in their private life, their actions maybe in their social life, their actions with their family. There's something that ruins that name for them, is there not? And most of the time, it only takes one time. It only takes one moment, one split second for someone to ruin their name and to ruin who they are and what they are. Amen. A lot of times when we stand at a funeral, we'll stand over top of someone's casket and rightfully so, we'll say all the good things that they've accomplished in their life, and man, all the great things they've done, and the people they are. But man, what really matters, man, and here's what I'm trying to get to tonight. When people are sitting at my funeral, I don't want the preacher up there saying good things about me. People out there going, "Well, I should have known what I know." Let me preach his funeral for a minute. Y'all get what I'm saying? See, there's a lot of people, man, they'll sit there and man, they'll talk about, man, he was such a great man and he did this and he did that. But man, if you was to call his creditors, and you find out he ain't paid a bill on time since he had bills.
Amen.
That stuff matters, amen. It matters. I know, preacher, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm guilty too, man. That's why I try not to have any bills, you know. I got alcohol. Yeah. I try to keep, I don't want no car payments. I want as few as possible. Yeah. If you call Sprint, they'll probably tell you mine's late all the time. It's because I don't want to pay it on time because it never works. Let me tell you why I'm late paying. Because you don't never give me any service. Everywhere I go, it's searching. But a good name is important. It used to be a lot more important than it is now. There was a time, though I didn't get to experience this in my lifetime, some of you older folks probably have, when you could walk into a bank and shake a man's hand and get a loan. Just on your name. Now you got to jump through hoops. I remember this small town bank where I grew up. Now, I grew up in a small town. I want y'all to understand that Georgia has small towns. Okay, you got small towns, Monroe, you know, like the squares. The town that I grew up in does not have any of that. Okay, we have a horse auction, a grocery store, and a hardware store. That's it. And the grocery store is not even. It's an IGA. How many of y'all know what IGA is? It's called Honey's IGA. Okay, Honey's. It was Roney's, R-H-O-N-E-Y-S, but a storm come through and knocked the R off and never fixed it. So from then on, it was Honey's. Listen, if I'm lying, I'm dying. And I knew the man who owned it. I said, why did you never fix it? He said, I just, it is what it is. You can drive from one side of my little town to the other in about 3 minutes. And there was a small bank there inside the grocery store that my granddad could go in there and shake their hand and walk out with cash. I've seen him do it, and I thought, man, that's a... And growing up, I thought, yeah, man, that's just the way it works, you know. Until I tried to go get a loan. It don't work that way. You know, to buy a home, you got to get pre-approved before you can even go look at a house. Then when you get pre-approved, the house has got to get approved. And then they go through every square inch of the home. All the paperwork, all this and all that. Brother Joe was helping us trying to help us buy a house a while back. And I thought, Brother Joe, this cannot be serious. He'd come through here, hey, I need you to sign this. Hey, I'm going to send you something, read over this. I was like, wow, what am I doing? But a good name matters. You get in a car wreck, there's people you can call, right? They run their name all over the place. Strong, right? Nugent, all these guys. They're going to have to get a settle. They have a name, Morgan & Morgan, right? There's people in the food industry. There's people in the building industry. There's people in all these industries that have built a name for themselves. That somebody, you know, maybe that does grading, paving, that you know, like, they have built a name for themselves. And people around here, a lot of people ask me, who's your wife? Who'd you marry? I tell them, Key, Kelly Key. They say, are they related to Key Paving? Yeah, that's her own. And everybody knows Key Paving and grading because they built a name. A A good name is rather to be, listen, is rather to be chosen than great riches and loving favor rather than silver and gold. I'm going to tell you why. Because when you lose it, it's so much harder to gain it back.
Amen.
It's so hard when you ruin your name for people to trust you again. For people to build confidence in you and hold confidence in you. For people to go to you again and look to you for advice, look to you for counsel, look to you for whatever it is that you're claiming to be. When you've ruined that name, it's hard for you to get that back.
Amen.
For example, our house that we did buy, I was under it the other day. I've been under it, on top of it, in the attic, in the walls. It's been a mess. I never want to buy and remodel another house again. We've had to jack the floors up, let floors down, tear walls out. But it was, you know, the one good thing in it that I thought that it had, Brother Joe, the guy told me when I bought it. It's got a brand new HVAC system. And I thought, all right, something that's not going to be tore up. I go into the house the other day. There's water pouring out of it. And all the vent lines are full of water. How does that happen? I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. So I called the guy who bought the house and I said, is there still warranty on it, all this and that? He's like, yeah, just call him up. I called the guy. He comes to my house. He's out there for 5 minutes. And he's one of those, you know, just, yeah, we'll get it fixed. Yeah, no, man, just write me a check. Like, you hadn't even looked at it. How do you know what's wrong? Yeah, I can get it right back up where it needs to be. I'm just, yeah, you just write me a check. I said, just kindly leave. Call Brother Mike. Because he's got a name. The reason I called this knucklehead, I thought, well, maybe he put the thing in, maybe he'll fix it, you know? It don't work that way. But he ruined his name with me. See what I'm saying? I'll never call him to fix anything. I'll never refer him to another person. Y'all still with me? Yeah. The preacher said I had plenty of time. He said it's only 7:15. He got plenty of time. He messed up. He's sitting there thinking, I regret that decision. It's hard to build a name. There's people in this church, I guarantee you can think of now, that have that name. When I think of Brother Joe Watkins, I think of anybody who can do anything. Amen. If he don't know how to do it, he'll figure it out. He'll ask Brother Jim. Brother Joe come to me the other day and said, you don't know anybody's got a sawmill, do you? I said, no, I sure don't. It wasn't 2 days later he sends me a video of a sawmill that he built out of a chainsaw. And he's cutting boards. I said, Kelly, look at this. It says one day I'm going to learn how to build mandolins, make mandolins. He's built like 4 of them. Miss Marie will send me pictures, and I mean some of the prettiest mandolins I've ever seen. Even one made out of a Ford hubcap. Yeah. And deer antlers.
Well, said it was Ford because he would sit it up and do a show. Amen. That's what he said.
I mean, when you think of Brother Jim Helms, you think of somebody that's faithful, somebody that put time into this building that we're sitting in.
Oh, yeah.
Men like that, you can drive all over this community and see their hand in buildings, parking lots, driveways, houses. So neat, men, her dad, at one time they had a pretty big business before the economy crashed. And it's so cool for me, when I first married into her family, we'd be driving somewhere and she'd be like, my dad built that subdivision.
Yeah.
We went, there's an IHOP in Stockbridge. We were eating at it. She said, my dad built this. There's a big church in Locust Grove, big old church, that is gorgeous. He started, he graded all the grounds, put in the plumbing, all that. Listen, that's so cool to me. Her brother, you go to Atlanta Christian School, you know where that place is huge. He's hung a lot of the steel in there. Stuff that'll be there forever. And their name matters. And I was thinking about that lately as we've been working and building and doing stuff, and I've been helping her dad and her brother do things. Her brother just started a construction company. And as much as me and her brother just don't get along, they do things the right way. You know, in order for you to start a construction company and do the things that they're doing, jobs of that magnitude, he's had companies call him and tell him, steel companies, fabricators that have called him and said, we'll give you a $3 million line of credit. A brand new company that just got off the ground. Because his name, he's earned a good name. There's big construction companies in Atlanta that use her dad and her brother, and they're small little outfits. But they'll use them because they've earned their name with them. If you're taking notes tonight, write this down. Number one, your name defines who you are. Your name identifies you. It is who you are. It identifies you. Everyone sitting in this building tonight is identified by their name. People in this community, when they think of Ed Strickland, they think of two things. Number one being, we buy and sell broken appliances. He has saturated this community with his fingerprint on every single street sign, every power pole, anything he can staple a sign to. Everything. I thought I saw him in Monroe the other day with a can of spray paint on the side. And number two, they think of Grace Baptist Church.
Amen.
You talk to Ed Strickland for longer than 5 minutes, you're going to hear about Grace Baptist Church on Hog Mountain.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing.
Yeah. But
It identifies you. It identifies who you are. You think of Adam, you think of the beginning. You think of the first one. You think of this earth. You think of the beginning of the earth. You think of Adam. Moses, you think of someone who was a leader. You think of someone who was the deliverer. You think of David. You think of David and Goliath. Every child thinks of David and Goliath, but you also think of David's mishap with Bathsheba. You think of his name, and when he made his mistake, you think of David as a man after God's own heart, but you also remember the mistake that he made. Not saying that we're not going to make mistakes, but I'm just telling you that's when it comes to your name, that's what happens. Just that quick, you can be remembered as someone who made a mistake. You think of Noah, you think of someone who's faithful. Someone who honors God, someone who was faithful in doing what God asked him to do. Someone who's diligent. Even when no one else is following, you think of Noah as a leader. Even when the whole entire world was against him, and even when no one else would listen to him, no one else would pay any attention to what Noah had to say, you think of Noah, man, you think of someone who was faithful in serving God. You think of Peter. He's referred to in the Bible as a rock. Think of Peter as one of the Lord's right-hand men. You remember Peter trying to chop the soldier's head off in the garden to keep him from getting his Savior? But then you also remember him cursing. Many others, Thomas, doubting. Number two, when your name is mentioned, people immediately think of something. Don't they? When I think of my wife, I think of pretty. Mom. That's Mom. When you think of someone, something pops in your mind. If you think of someone right now, something pops in your mind. Don't try it, because you might even get mad at somebody. Tell you, the other day I went to Brother Todd's house. I dropped my truck off. When I left, Sunday kind of reconfirmed it for me. I think of Brother Todd Missing, I think of family. That's a word that I think of when I think of family. Not just for me, you know, just because when I'm around them, you feel like family around them. But because of all the family that they have, their kids, and how good they are to their family and their kids. You think of Brother Andy, I think of someone that's a leader. What does someone think when they think about you? It's like Bo, even now, even when he picks up his toys, I make him finish. Sometimes it is a all-out fight. And it's like sometimes I say, Bo, go pick up your toys. 5 minutes later, he'll come, Daddy, I'm done. And everything's right. But other times, I have to whoop him 3 or 4 times before we get done. And it's like, son, do you not hear what I'm saying to you? Pick up your toys. And 2 seconds later, he'll be building a ramp out of something. Trying to jump it with a dump truck. But Daddy, I can't find my logs from my log truck. Just pick them up, son. We will find your logs later. We'll find your ramps and your monster trucks. Just put everything in this box so we can leave and go to church. Do it now. If I come back in here and it's not done, I'm going to wear you out. I come back later, what's he doing? He's sitting in the floor. And I'm like, son, pick them up. I am. That's what I'm doing, Dad. He gets it. Sometimes he don't. But I want him to finish. Why? Because I don't want him to be a quitter. I don't want people to look at him and think, oh, he's a quitter. He never finishes anything. If he ever wants to try sports, and this was something I hated as a kid. I mean, I love sports, but there was one sport that I tried as a kid, you know, and I regret the decision ever trying it. But I tried soccer. And my mom wouldn't let me quit. I was too fat, too slow to do it. Listen, I was the goal. So I'm just standing there. I'm like, and it was my first year of experiencing sports. You know, I was only like 5. So my mom, she's like, and I'm standing there, and we shared a field 50-50 with the football team, the rec football team. I'm on the rec soccer team. Everybody's down, and I could hear, bam! I could hear helmets crashing and people yelling. I'm like, you know, and I knew then that soccer wasn't my thing, you know, obviously. So I can hear, and I'm looking, and I see somebody just get smashed down there. I'm like, man, that's where I need to be. My mom's like, you're not quitting. You started, you're going to finish. Next year you can play football. She said, I gave you the option. You pick soccer. I don't know what I was thinking. She said, you're going to finish. As I got older, I hated school, wanted to quit school and just get my GED, you know, start college early. That's what I am. But it wasn't going to happen. No, you're going to finish. You got to finish what you start. And there for a long time, I'll be honest with you, preacher. There for a long time, because of my situation growing up and moving here and there and here and there, I had built a bad name for myself as someone who would quit. Because I was used to constantly moving, change of scenery. And I'll tell you what hurt me so bad was a pastor in South Carolina wanted me to come be his assistant pastor / youth pastor. And he called Brother Tony Shirley. Brother Tony said, he'll be as good as gold. 3 or 4 months, he might be gone. Man, that crushed me, Brother Joe. I thought, man, that's the name I built for myself. Shoot, I stayed there over 2 years. I was like, I ain't going nowhere. Matter of fact, I moved into his basement. Y'all gonna have to kick me out, evict me. But your name, when someone hears it, it identifies you. Regardless, whether you like it or not, whether you feel like everybody knows who you are, somebody hears your name, that's what they think of something. You think of Brother Joe told you know what I think of? I think somebody who can do amazing rock work.
That's right.
And you think, well, something I might, but that's his livelihood. Right? Something he can be proud of. I mean, where did y'all go? Missouri? A few weeks ago? His hand has touched things all the way in Missouri. Somebody's going to walk across that sidewalk. But who put this in here? Joe Toole, he's from Georgia. It's pretty, listen, it's simple. Tonight you think, well, what's it have to do with me? It has everything to do with me. A few weeks ago, preacher, y'all had Miss Winnie's funeral right here. And man, I'm sure if you'd have let everybody, somebody could have got up and said something about Miss Winnie.
Yeah.
And amazing person. I loved her to death. I mean, I loved her. She was good to us. And it's funny. It's funny you think about, we laugh about the gummies with Bub. But in his little mind, that's why he loved Grace Baptist Church. It was because of Miss Winnie. And when we came here, we were scared. Right? We're stepping out on faith. But we found a seat right behind her. That's where we sat. Because she was good to my son. And I'm not saying nobody else wasn't, but she went above and beyond for that little boy. And that meant the world to me.
Amen.
So, in my mind, even to this day, listen, this church is filled with good people, but in my mind, even to this day, when I think of Grace Baptist Church, I think of her. In my mind, she's the definition of this place. Welcoming, friendly, loves the Lord, faithful. She built a name for herself in just a matter of minutes. And when Bo comes in here, he always looks for her still. And he got so friendly with her and so cordial with her, he'd just go over and go through her bag. She'd have to put him on restriction. Hold on, Bo. I'll give you a bag now. Bag halfway through church and then for the ride on. I remember the last time we took him over to see her at her house, she had gummies. Just for him. In the pantry. And I was getting on to Bo for something. She was weak. She said, "You leave it." She said, "This is my house." She said, "He can have whatever he wants here." I said, "Yes, ma'am." But her name will live forever in his mind as faithful, loving, kind. Number 4, this is something encouraging. A bad name can be changed to good.
That's right.
Saul was turned to Paul in Acts 9. The woman at the well became a soul winner of a city.
Amen.
In Mark chapter number 5, we see a maniac who could not be healed turned into a Christian who was sitting in his right mind, fully clothed at the feet of Jesus.
Amen.
In Matthew chapter 26 and Acts chapter number 2, we see cursing Peter turned into preaching Peter. So, it doesn't, it might take some work, but good thing about it is a bad name can be turned into a good one. Praise the Lord.
Yes. Amen.
Man, if you go where I'm from, where my family is from in West Virginia, and you ask about Bragg's, it's not good. It's not ever good. I remember See, my mom, my dad was from a town about 20 minutes away from where my mom's from. And I was up around with my mom's family, my aunt's house one time, and she said that a bunch of Braggs had been coming over and just terrorizing people, stealing stuff, busting into cars. And she said people around here hate Braggs. And it's a blessing to me that now, since a lot of my family has been saved in the past 20 years, thank God, that name is changing.
Amen.
My grandfather, my dad's dad was man, you talk about an alcoholic, man, he drank beer, liquor at the same time. He was just drink all night, all day. He'd come home from work and just get. And every time I went to see him, Brother Joe, there was never a time as a kid that I went to see him that I didn't smell liquor on him. And he was just belligerent, drunk. And him, my grandmother was saved. She's a Christian woman since I can remember. Her and my granddad were married, but they didn't live together. She couldn't stand it. She'd come over, cook dinner, wash his clothes, clean his house, and go home. They were still married. Not separated, married, but she couldn't live in the same house with him. I feel like that's what she's going to do to me. Couldn't live in the same house with him. My cousin got married down in South Carolina on the beach. He went down there. My mama couldn't stand him to drink. She'd get mad. Well, they rode down there, and he got drunk. In Myrtle Beach. 3 hours away from home. She left him. Come home. My grandpa testified to this. It took him 12 hours to find his way home. Listen to me. He walked in that door, fell on his face before God, and asked God to forgive him and save his soul from hell.
Amen.
And I'm talking about a change. He said, Mama, you should have left him a long time ago somewhere. She said, if I'd have known that was that easy. It wasn't long after I started Bible college, I went over to his house. No more beer cans, no more liquor. He's sitting at the kitchen table by himself in the middle of the day reading his Bible. He said, come on in. Man, he was just a changed man. Just like that. God saved him.
Amen.
And now, when people think of his name, they think of that story. They think of how much he loved them. I got to preach his funeral. Without shame. Without any kind of shame. Brother Jim, I got to preach his funeral about how he got saved. Gave his life to the Lord and loved the Lord. And treated his family right. They still never lived together. It's the funniest thing in the world. Man, my mama loved him. But now, that Bragg name is being changed. Slowly. You go up to West Virginia, just forget about it. There ain't no good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving faith, and silver and gold. A good name can be lost in one action. I'm almost done. Saul lost his good name in 1 Samuel 15. Elijah running from Jezebel in 1 Kings. Achan in Joshua 7. It doesn't take you just a minute, a second, to lose that name. There's been preachers that I know, Brother Ed, I'm sure you're the same way. In just a second, have either ruined the name of their church or their name by some decision that they made. There for a while, New Man Baptist Church didn't have the name that it had right now because of one man made a bad decision. And I've talked to Brother Tony, he said, man, you won't believe how hard it was. It's been 20 years since that happened. They're still trying to regain that testimony. Brother Joe, you go in one house, you put up a fireplace, and it's sloppy, they ain't gonna call you again. Brother Jim, you pull your equipment onto somebody's yard and you grade it to where 6 months later their house is flooded, their basement's flooding, like, man, this guy really done a number on us. Brother Joe, you name one of your businesses. One of your horses goes crazy and runs around. Yeah. One thing, every one of his corner customers has ended up dead. You can lose that name quickly. And it's unfortunate that it happens that way. But Brother Andy, you run around selling bad materials, putting someone's car, and you got 4,000 cars that puts bad. You know, they ain't gonna look at the name of the brand. They're gonna say, "Well, Andy Clendenin sold me this. He's out pushing this stuff, and it's ruined my car." Brother Todd puts in a bunch of bad transmissions. They're gonna be out front. Todd's shop.
He sells bad wood, we get a bad name.
But y'all get what I'm saying? At the jail. Now, it's a fine line. It's hard to explain. At the jail, you don't want inmates to like you. You don't want to be that officer. Because if inmates like you, more than likely, you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. They always say, if you're that officer that walks in the morning, all the inmates are like, yeah, we got Bragg. That means you ain't doing something right. I had an inmate walk up to me the other day. He looked at my shirt, he said, "So you're Bragg?" I said, "Yeah, I am." He said, "Man, I ain't heard one good thing about you." I said, "Good. I don't come here to make friends." I said, "Let's move." But to me, I took pride in that. One day there was a guy trying to, said he wasn't going to lock down in his room. Another inmate yelled out of his door, he said, "You messing with the wrong one. Y'all messing with the wrong one." I was like, "That's right, you better take notes." For the first time that I do something in that uniform to ruin my name, forget about it. You ain't getting hired nowhere else. That's it. Last and I'm done. There are things you can do to keep a good name. Associate with those who have a good name. How true is that? 2 Corinthians 6:14 through 17. Also live a sanctified life. Try. I like this one. Be faithful to God's house.
Amen.
That matters.
Yeah.
People don't think it does, but man, it does. Be faithful to God's house. Work hard and be reliable. Keep your word and think of others. I don't want to be known as a person who's always late, never shows up. Says he's going to be there, but then he ain't. Not happy. I've been there once and yeah, I'll be there. Then call if something came up. I've had people tell me, some of my buddies, they make fun of me. I'll call, "Hey, I'm on the way." About 10 minutes out, so they're like, "So you'll be here in about 45 minutes then." Like, so I'm that one, like, "I'm on the way, I'm coming, I'm about 15 minutes out." They're like, "All right, see you in 30 minutes." But I want to have a good name of somebody who, you ever hear something, to me this is a highest pay of respect. Someone said, "Well, just call so-and-so, you know he's going to do it right." You know what I'm saying? Me and my father-in-law were working on this house. He's like, "Man, there's so much to do." He said, "But I tell you what we're going to do." He said, "We're going to do it the right way." He said, "It's going to take us longer, but we're going to do it the right way." And that, to me, at the time, I was like, "No, let's just get this thing done." He's like, "No, because when the time comes for you to sell it, do you want somebody to be looking at you the same way you're looking right now, thinking, man, this thing is a mess. Floors are falling in, walls are warped up." Do it right. Be reliable. And I think we can all of us, if we're honest, can say we can improve in these areas. Amen.
Amen.
We all should want to strive to have a good name. Amen. Amen. All right, let's all stand. Man, my wife